Good morning, afternoon, or evening. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And this is also Easel Talk 16. I don't have enough fingers to put up. We all know I like to count with my hands. I hope you're doing good. Now, the subject of this talk, it kind of says it's about brushwork, 5 keys to loose brushwork. That's because the actual chapter this is based on is called Loose Yet Cohesive. And that's not just brushwork. And I'm going to take you through it because this is a really pivotal and important aspect of painting. Not just landscape painting, all painting. This would apply to all painting. I got my brush handy so I can point and gesticulate and what have you. Got my coffee here. And we're ready to go. You ready? I'm ready. And welcome. Okay. I want to talk about Frank Frazetta. Now, you might go, Frank Frazetta? Come on, man. Look at your work. Got nothing to do with Frank Frazetta. What the? Well, he was a massive early influence on me. He was one of the first guys I looked at. My dad was into science fiction. We had a book or two around. And they had these Frazetta covers, and this was back in the early 70s. A long time ago. And if you haven't seen that stuff, it's amazing. And this is one of my first recognitions of like, oh, that's a painting. That is a painting that's painted. What was that? I probably asked when I was little. Oh, probably oil paint or something. Someone said. I said somehow I knew it was oil paint. I knew it was a reproduction of oil painting on that cover. And the thing about Frazetta is that he didn't just open my young eyes to painting. He opened my eyes to a lot of other things. Like the thing about his best work. Not all of it qualifies in this way. Is that it was tight and not tight, but it was. Everything that needed to be there was in the areas like the face and the body and stuff, but in other areas things just fall away a lot, and it's more gestural, it's loose, and even in these focal areas it's not overly worked. And this is something that if you're not aspiring to, you should be, because I'm a believer. I've been down the hard slog with the painting. My background is to, I saw and recognized Frazetta and his looseness, but when it came to the drawing, guys, I was into the massive detailed pen and ink stuff, and that was a major influence on me forever. I didn't actually start painting with a brush until like in my 30s. I did have jobs where I did do some painting stuff. Let's check that beard there. Hopefully that's better. Okay. His work was loose and expressive, but you could see how it was put together. You could see some of the structure and architecture of the paintings in it. And this is one thing, if you want to say, well, what do you got in common with him? That's true of my work as well. If you look pretty, if you look in the corners, you look around, you'll see there's bits of the underpainting coming through. And the whole idea is basically to get down what needs to be got down. To express the idea that you're trying to get across. But there's a threshold that you cross many times where things get very tight, and we're going to talk about it in this talk. And we're going to break it down into 5 keys. I think last week was steps. Yes, I like keys, I like steps. I just think it's a good way to think of things. It's not because I'm into marketing snizzle. I try to do a little bit. I mean, if something occurs to me, it's like, yeah, steps would be better than nothing, right? Okay, so at his peak, he was, I think, one of the greatest painters ever. Masterful color modulation, strategic use of saturated color versus desaturated color. That's not the talk today, but make a little mental note there. That's something you should be looking at too. And loose yet cohesive brushwork, right? And he set the standard. He really did. Okay. Looseness didn't always come easily to him. If you know his history, and you know his work. But also, you should know that he was addicted to reworking and redoing his paintings. Many of these covers that struck me, he would rework those paintings constantly and not make them better either. But, you know, what are you going to do? It's tough being an artist. Another big reworker of paintings was George Ness, although he wouldn't so much rework the same image, he'd just do a whole nother painting right over the top. It would end up being completely, and with Ness, it was to the point where his family would hide his best work from him. He'd be like, "What happened to that painting?" His wife would be like, "Well, I think it sold." You know, good thing she did that, or we wouldn't have some of the masterpieces of his that we do today. Okay, so. Yeah, that's the problem with the reworking. Sometimes you do improve it. Sometimes there was some stuff that needed to be done and dealt with. But a lot of times, no. And one of the things, I'm sure it'll be covered in here, but you know me, I'm going to be cycling through. So often I'm telling you, especially when you're starting out, like, and especially what's driving you to paint is your deep internal sense of aesthetics. When you look at the work of other painters that you think is great, you respond to that, and so it's in you. It's in you, and that drive to go. Oh, I want it to be great. I want it to be great. What happens is in that process, a lot of times we'll lose that. We'll lose the loose, expressive brushstrokes that you had created in the process of trying to express yourself, and everything goes downhill. I'm sure it's in here too. Yeah. Okay. Key 1. The Frazetta lesson. Notice how he left like the bottoms or the corners mostly raw, to the point where you'd see the sepia tone canvas in many cases, right? Just little bits of brushwork there. Yeah, toned canvas and underpainting bits show through. Just paint. This demonstrates that he was just painting what needed to be painted. And how do you know? Well, it's called experience, really. And you can listen to talks like mine that will put you on, at least this is putting the idea on your roadmap to painting success now. You can think, okay, I need to be loose yet cohesive, loose yet cohesive. I think it's a great phrase. I probably, five keys to, yeah, see, 5 keys to loose brushwork is probably going to be the thumbnail. I don't know. We'll see. Trusting your eye. When reviewing your work on computer after sessions, oftentimes when I'm reviewing my work, thank you, assistant. I told him not to curtail these sentences. And I said, keep it short. About the eye. Very efficient. When I'm reviewing work on my computer, I photograph everything I do and video record 90% of it. Not this beautiful painting sitting there. The whole session was out of focus. You guys don't even know what I have to go through to make a perfect looking video. It looks effortless and easy. It's hard work. Please support this artist. Thank you. We'll talk more about that at the end. You'll get the usual M. Francis harangue. Okay. But when I'm looking at my work, zoomed in, because obviously I'm not zoomed in as I'm working on it. It's the size it is. I'll see how much I left. I leave a lot. And this is because I've learned the hard way that immediate, as I'm trying to work things out, that says a lot. Where every time I come over, in that same session, yeah, okay, you got to address things. You got to go over strokes again, parts of strokes. More what I like to do is like try to leave most of the stroke, but just address an aspect of the stroke I'm working on, fixing, that maybe needed to be adjusted a little, to try and retain that freshness. And the reason I know that this is so important is because I've overworked so many paintings, so many. Oh my God. Hundreds and hundreds, 2000, it's on the channel, you can see it. Go to 2014, maybe 2015, 2016. You'll see there's some good stuff. I was struggling with this even then, and I thought I was winning, but you know how it is. You know how it is. Okay. If it looked good on the easel, under the lights, you did the bup. Yeah, that looks good. It's good. Leave it alone. If you want to improve it, next time you paint a scene like that, try to raise your game there. Don't try to beat that painting into submission, because what will happen is, even like I was starting to say, if you're an amateur painter, the one thing you can offer us is your vision and your immediate response to the scene. Especially if you're taking on board some of the talks I've got about color and modulating your color and working with color. If you've got that bit down, then your color is not distracting. All you really need to do is get it down and leave it alone, and then build on that painting by painting. Right. So it's the facts, yo. It's absolute facts. Coming to you straight from your painter in residence. Yeah, I don't pander. Thank you for the commenter that pointed that out. I'm not here to pander. I like my channel be bigger. Sure, why not? But I'm not going to pander. I'm not going to be telling you things I don't think are whatever. You don't care. So, number 2. I know what you care about. You care about making good paintings. That's why you're here. What can I glean? I want to learn how to make amazing paintings. And who can blame you? Here you are. And I respect that. I totally do respect you. Key number 2, plan for the looseness. Here's the planning paradox, yo. Okay? You rely on the preliminary stages to enable that loose and expressive first color pass. So you notice I do the underpainting every single time. Now, increasingly my underpaintings are kind of loose, but quite often, if you go back into the earlier days of the channel, you'll see, wow, he's really overworked that. Well, if you're going to do some overworking, get it out of your system, the place to do it is in the underpainting, not in that color pass. When I say first color pass, these days for me, that's the only color pass. But back in the day, I would do 4 and 5 color passes. I have one up in my washroom in my house. I like the painting. It's got a very soft, very gauzy feeling to it. But I remember I painted that when I first came out to New Zealand. It has like 5 color passes, transparent layers. That's a whole different approach, and it's valid. If that's your style, great, do it. But you can still get a lot of value from learning this lesson to respect the loose yet cohesive approach. Okay, here we go. So those preliminary stages will enable you to get that loose, expressive first color pass. At the color stage, that's not the place to be solving your compositional problems. It's not the place to be worrying about that stuff. That's the place to worry about. I'm looking at the reference and I'm going like that, right? You want free, liberal, expressive color application. Always. Your work will be 10 times better. You want to be moving deliberately and expeditiously across the surface. You see it in video after video. Best comment I ever got, not the best. The best comment I ever got was the last positive comment you gave me. No, I've gotten lots of wonderful comments over the years, and one of my favorites is the guy says, Mike, you work like a very competent dentist, very methodically, and that's true. I do. I want things deliberate, confident, expeditious, and then leave it alone. So the planning process, you want to create excellent, inspiring reference. I'm always harping on it. A lot of you guys are, I want to learn Photoshop. Well, don't, because I quit Photoshop. Screw you, Adobe. Okay? I had to do a whole video about that. I'm not going to complain anymore in this one. But that's what I've been going through. That's what Uncle Mike's been going through. And it's a bit like you cut off my arm or leg. Yeah. Okay. You're getting a slice of life. Slice of Uncle Mike's life. Okay. So that reference is key, because anything you can work out there, that's your inspiration. That's coming in. And that's what you're putting down. If there's... where is it? It's right here. Can you see that? Can you see that one? It's going up on the channel after this I had one thing about that is the horizon. It's fine. It's fine. I'm very happy with the painting though, and it's based on some reference that I've done many times. I've done many paintings from that reference, and that's a subject for another talk. But it was inspiring, and that carried me through. You know. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to point out. In the reference, which I don't have handy, you see this center area, right? That's simple. You go, oh, that's simple. It's nothing. Yeah, well, it wasn't a reference. It was like little hill here, little hill there, little weird winding path, little other hill, other ridge. I worked all that out. I struggled, but I did work it out. I simplified it. That's actually a compositional problem solving subject for another talk. However, having that sorted in the reference would have saved me a lot of time. I really struggled a lot, and I was lucky I pulled it off because I had all these weird things in the reference, and I hadn't actually. I had sort of solved most of the problem in the underpinning, but there's a place where experience carried the day, right? Okay. Yeah, sorry, let's get back on the outline. That reference is important. If there's weird things in it, you think, oh, I'll just work it out in the painting. I'll hope for the best. Yeah, well, that's where you're going to lose that looseness thing as you go in. Not good. We don't need it. This is the plan. The underpainting's a plan, right? So get the plan good. Don't overplan. Don't go too tight. Planning prevents responding to interesting developments that come up. Now, so here I was able to solve that problem in a way that looks fine. It looked fine in the reference too, but being an experienced painter, I'll be working for days to work all that stuff out. It would have added to the impetus of what I'm trying to get across with the painting, which is the beautiful sky, the path, the tree, the whole atmosphere of it, which was inspiring. Yeah. Yeah, you want to plan you want to plan as a loose framework that allows some work to be done and express yourself. But like I said, if it ends up a little overworked, that's okay. Just don't carry that through the whole painting. You want to be able to respond. The thing with painting is like this one here, which I can't show you because it's over there. The easel's over there. Isn't that funny? No one's called me out yet. It's called the Easel Talk, but the easel's over there, Mike. Come on. Well, there's also a bunch of light there. I have a barrier. And so this is really the only spot. I could have put the camera there. Then I'd be, whatever. That's fine. Okay. Did you know you could buy the book? Landscapepainter.co.nz. The book cost $65 US. Did you know? Learning from overworking. I do know. I know the pain so well. That's why. This is what I was going to say about that one. Every painting, as you're working, like you may have ideas like, yes, I want this to have a chunky, like Van Gogh-y kind of thing, or a loose Monet kind of thing, or a really Pizarro, little dabs, that build, But a lot of times when you find as you're painting, that it's taking on its own sort of thing, and that's its own talk, another talk. These are like the Russian dolls. Like I said, they're all nestled. All these concepts are nestled in each other. They're all interrelated. And the new book explicates that brilliantly. If I don't say so myself. Each idea comes to the fore and is a faucet that is explored. This is the faucet of loose yet cohesive. Right. So, but may as well finish expressing that thought. So, you're going to find that this painting wants to be real brushstrokey. I didn't really want a brushstrokey. I wanted that more gauzy Ines kind of thing. Well, if it wants to be brushstrokey, let it be brushstrokey. That was sort of the case with that, and you just enjoy it at that point, while being loose yet cohesive. That's important. Okay. Yeah, learning from overworking. I had tendency to overwork many paintings, over render, not stop when it should have. Worst thing I would do is just take that dry painting and put it back on the easel and work it some more. And the problem with that is going to be discussed fully in another talk. But what I will say is that you feel like you're one continuous thing, but in each moment you're actually a fresh new thing. Really, I know that's a huge slice of philosophy, but it's important to remember as a painter, because you'll see the proof of this. You'll see the truth of it, which is the you that comes in later. And by the way, the future you always believes they're superior to the past you. Funny how that works. But it's not always. Sometimes it is, especially if you built up a lot of experience. But even, say, the more experienced, better you, that's coming in to fix that painting. Oh, I know so much more now. What you're going to do 9 times out of 10 is end up destroying that loose and expressive framework you had created, which might have been the only thing that painting had going for it. And it might have been okay. It might have been fine. It's very seldom that any one painting is 100% perfect. So you have to judge them and say, well, is there enough going right with this that it should continue to move through this reality into the future? And if you don't think so, or you're ashamed to put your name on it, then throw it away. Okay. So I think there's a whole chapter called "Throw the Bad Stuff Away," so we won't harp on that. Yeah, I learned from the overworking, I learned from the over-rendering, I learned from the dry brushing, which was the death of me for years. Yeah, planning for looseness becomes easier after you experience the pain of overworking. It is. I've deeply ingrained this now, and I'm trying to communicate it to you. Yeah, I'm doing my best. I don't get into tributaries, but I'm pulling it back. After time passes and investment, the memory fades. You've noticed this with your paintings. You don't remember the struggle so much. But if you didn't overwork the painting, then what you'll see is what will always be rising up will be the loose and expressive feeling. That's what we're really interested in. You know, you're the only person that's ever going to see reality the way you see it. And yes, you might be able to get that across as a photographer, but you have like this mechanical contrivance between you and expressing yourself there. With painting, there is no mechanical, well, this is a mechanical contrivance, but it's a far cruder one than a camera. Yeah. So when you paint, we really get a sense of how you felt. And that is the intrinsic value of painting to me. Okay, we're moving on. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're okay. We're fine. Number 3. Recognize the awareness gap, the end stage blindness at the very end of the painting process. You're not as aware of overworking as you'd like. You are invested, okay? So this is a problem because your mindset is like, no, I'm going to get this right. And you need that. And that's got to be balanced, though, with this other voice. It's like, no, leave it alone, don't mess it up. Oh, no, I got to get it right. No, leave it alone. Stop doing it. Stop working on it. Stop. Oh, I'm doing it. Okay, enough of that. There's a definite gap in awareness. So if you need to, put a note on your easel right beside your board there that says, stop overworking. Because when you're in the struggle's real, right? You're going to be struggling. You're trying to get things done. And what I'm trying to say here is that try to open up your awareness so that you can catch yourself and don't do it. Okay? Yeah, because your investment of time and effort into that painting clouds your judgment every time. Okay? It's important to support yourself by seeing your work positively, by the way. So you don't want to be, oh, I can't do this. This sucks. Ugh, I suck. Oh, why am I even bothering? You can't do that. You need to say, okay, that's cool. Well, it is what it is. Well, that one's done. I'll put that aside. I'll get better on the next one. See how positive that is? Positive reinforcement is your friend. Negative reinforcement will bring you down. Yeah, the delayed truth. So after time has moved on, that's when you'll look at that painting and go, oh God, that's tight and bad. And I have a lot of those still around. They're not bad paintings per se, but oh, you want to suffer. You really want to suffer. Video record everything you do like I do, and review that footage, and you see that point time after time where you should have stopped, but you kept going. You just couldn't stop, could you? No. Yeah. But in your case, if you're not video recording, you'll still remember, like, oh, I had that at a better place, and I definitely went too far. Don't go too far. Just leave it alone. But finish it. It's not an excuse not to finish things. Get every bit of that canvas covered. That's the point. If you have, I've said it before, I'll keep saying it, big shapes with that are compositionally working well with each other, with a good modulated color, and everything's all blocked in, and you got a little bit of this and that going on. That's all you really need to make a painting, right? Anything else is gravy. But if you're going to go further, make sure it's loose and expressive and cohesive. Yeah, because the painting's going to be there. You're probably not going to throw it away like I'm always telling. Actually, some of these paintings, I like I said, I've kept them because they're still good paintings. Most people looking at them won't go, wow, But I know I went too far in that sky. I lost something there, And we have Frazetta, but let's talk, about like someone like Van Gogh. By the way, people think that Vincent did everything outdoors. No, he started them outdoors. He brought them indoors and worked on them some more. But he was smart enough to keep it loose yet cohesive. Okay, to the degree that we think he did that all alla prima. He didn't. So you can work on your paintings again. And I do. Every now and again there's something in there that's got to be addressed. I got to put it back on the easel. But I've messed up so many now that I have a lot of restraint. I just go, no, I'm just going to fix you. And then I go, oh, but you over there. That happens so often that 9 times out of 10 I just say, you are the painting you are. I love you. Yes, be aware of this awareness gap. It's a real thing, that's, again, I'm always stressing, paint every day, create a lot of paintings, because this, first of all, gives you objectivity. If you look at painting from 30 days ago, you go, wow, I overworked that. I need to work on that, Yeah, trust your initial instincts. Give yourself some credit. Even if you're an amateur, you've been looking at art forever, you have ideas. I know you do. Okay, we're on to 4. Crowding in on 30 minutes too, so I better hurry up. You want to cultivate the loose state of mind. That's one of the reasons why, I don't know, I'm going to wrangle with the topic of this video. It's not necessarily all about brushwork. It's really about mindset. Okay? Mindset. You have to have a loose mindset. And that's expressed through the brush. Oh, there it is. Gaining the mindset. So this outline is generated from my chapter from my new book, Loose Yet Cohesive. The update is everything's moving along. It's all edited now. Ash has finished her job, and I will be jumping in solidly. I had volume 1 formatted, but I didn't have that nicely edited text. So there's little things that have been cleaned up. I've got to get those married and move on. But it'll be coming out next year. Stay tuned for that. The mindset, state of mind, is gained from appreciating loose painters like Frazetta, like Van Gogh. You can name others that you like. Who's the genius of the age? Richard Schmid, right? Now, Richard Schmid is a genius, but he overworks his stuff too, and he'll even point out in one video, it's like, oh, I've gone one too far. Yeah, he's that for him. That's his whole thing, keeping the loose yet cohesive feel, but fully expressing his idea for the scene. This is a huge part of the battle. This is a very important video, and I hope you recognize that. I hope you're learning. Start. Oh, big brushes. Yes. So one thing you can do is get away. If you're into these little tiny, I'm not going to reach for no brushes, but if you're into those tiny brushes, you don't use those. Use the biggest brush you can to get the job done. Okay? And that will be looser and more painterly, and that's going to help you. Yeah. As the painting becomes closer to completion, you'll notice in my videos I will move to smaller brushes, but I try. My mindset's deeply ingrained to use the biggest brush possible to get the job done. And many times, if you're in the live areas, like the Substack Studio Pass or the YouTube members, or you hear me say, "Nah, I gotta get a smaller brush because I can't do this." It'll be little nooks in between trees and things like that. Yeah, I have a good reason to get a smaller brush, but I'm not trying to do that whole painting with a small brush, right? Put down the strokes and leave them alone. Put down the strokes. Leave them alone. Put down the strokes. Leave them alone. Okay. Just put down the strokes and leave them alone. That's the critical principle that I'm trying to impart to you. And we talked about it before. We'll talk about it some more. The naivete trap. Many people think that going over the strokes repeatedly, they go, "That's my style, bro. I do everything like that." Yeah, well, you'll never, maybe you'll never, as long as you believe this, maybe you'll never know how good you actually are. Maybe you could have been a greater painter, because let me tell you, I'm not talking about being sloppy either. It's first time in nearly 30 minutes, 31 minutes. Don't be sloppy. I'm not talking about sloppy. I'm talking loose yet cohesive, okay? The opposite is true. Don't go over the strokes too much because it looks better when it's loose. A loose, expressive interpretation has honesty and immediate impact. So as you're building your skills, your work can at least have that. And you'll be surprised if you don't kill your work as it's being born, which is basically what's happening when you overwork, overpaint. People will like it. They will. They'll respond to it. They'll get it. Yeah. Constricted, overworked perfectionism will never attain this goal. Key 5. Study the masters loosely. And we're going to have talks coming up on studying the masters. We touched on it before. It's all over my books. It's all over this book. Several demonstrations about painting from the masters here. And we get really deep and even more thorough in the new book. Yeah. So when you are doing a study from a master, don't try and do their strokes. That's not the idea. You're trying to get their soul or spirit into your work. Get their composition thing down. Try and figure out, it's bigger and more important than loose and cohesive brushwork. But the thing about painting, you probably already noticed this, my painter friend, there's a lot of aspects of painting that you've got to get right to get a good painting. It's a massive accomplishment anytime you do a good work. Yeah. Yeah, so forget about rigid replication unless that's your buzz. You know, I make little tiny copies of, Hudson River School painters and paint them on the heads of pins and things. It's going to fail. That's going to fail. That's not going to work. Good. We're getting close to the end because I don't want this to go too long. The right approach. Get the composition close with shapes in appropriate areas. Do your best to emulate the modulations of the master. But do so in a fairly loose and expressive way. Don't try and be... So what I always been saying is I do my approach to the masters is in my style, in my approach, which is, if you look at the channel, I've got a playlist with over, I think, 100 studies of Ines. Why? Because he does this, and I've assimilated to a large degree much of what he's done. I'm not saying I'm on his level. I'm just saying that I got that in there. And this was how I did it. And that'll be topic of another talk. Yeah, there's going to be individual differences. You don't want to try and be somebody else. Everybody's different. You're different, and you're special. No one approach works for every painter. I know that. I know you're already thinking, I ain't like Mike. Forget Mike. I don't know what he's on about. Yeah, you're not like me. No one's like me. No one's like you. We're all special. We're all different. But these are truths that are emblazoned in the sky in bold letters. And if you follow my advice, you'll see your paintings improve exponentially. No one approach works for every painter. This organized yet expressive approach works well for painters who like working in an organized way. That may not be you. Are sensitive to being expressive, like me. So there it is. You want to be, you want your work to be cohesive, but you want to be expressive. Hey, you're at the right place. Me too. And you don't just want to be delineating what you perceive. My very earliest paintings were like that. And some of them are nice. They're good. But they are like a copy of a photo in oil paint. That's not what I'm about. I'm about expressing myself. Yo. The core principle, the paradox, meticulous planning in the early stages will enable you, like the underpainting, and even more so the reference, that thing you don't really want. I don't want to learn those digital programs. I don't want to mess around with things. By the way, you might look at this program called Luminar Neo, which is designed for people like that, where you can just kind of move your image through all these different things and get interesting effects and color casts. And it won't fix your composition, but it could help you get inspired. And once you're inspired, man, that's 90% of it, right? Subject for another talk. Okay. The planning in the early stages, the preparation enables spontaneous expression and execution, and that's what we're talking about. It's counterintuitive, but essential. Yeah. You might think, oh, well, I don't care what the reference is. I'm making a painting. I'm just going to... Yeah, okay. Well, good luck with that. So, the discipline, knowing when to stop. Stop destroying what's alive in the work. Develop a sensitivity to it. Investment in painting can blind you when it's done, right? Because you're invested. You're going, I've been working. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's really good. It's good. It's fine. It's good. Very good. No, maybe not very good. But it's good. It's good. It's fine. The wisdom. That was the discipline. The wisdom, looseness with cohesion requires technical foundation built through planning, willingness to leave well enough alone, trust in your initial instincts, and an appreciation for what is left unsaid in your work. That's good stuff. Closing. Oh, good. We're closing. The journey. Loose yet cohesive painting is achievable for you. It requires understanding the planning paradox. So spend a little more time fiddling around with those reference images. Get yourself inspired. Do that over. If you got an overworking problem, do it in the underpainting stage. But get yourself like on the first color pass. Set a timer. Okay, no, I need to have this done in 1 hour. I'm done. If that's your problem, you can try a lot of different strategies. I've never done that, but that might work for you. What's this? The journey. It demands discipline to stop before overworking. And it's built on the foundation of appreciating painters that didn't, right? Now, Uncle Mike is in that camp. I'm not the loosest painter, but if you look at my progression, I'm a lot looser than I used to be, and my work's a heck of a lot better because of it, right? And you can see my progression. It's on the channel, warts and all. Yeah, your assignment. You have the homework. You study Frazetta and other loose painters that I admire and that you admire. Plan your preliminaries a little more thoroughly so that when it gets down to crunch time, you're making your painting, you can just express yourself. You don't have to work out that composition problem or area of the reference that wasn't actually very well planned out, and now it's painting time and you're struggling, and you don't have to do that. And then you can execute your color passes with abandon. Get the big brush, the biggest brush you can. Leave the strokes alone once you're placed. That's a really good rule. Just remember that. When I put down the stroke, I'm not going to go over it again. Maybe I'll fiddle with a bit of the edge of it, but respect your strokes. Yeah, that could be its own talk, actually. Trust what looked right on the easel. If it looked good, you felt good. Except for that does sort of contradict this, like, no, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. You gotta find the middle path between this stuff, right? Remember, the greatest challenge any painter faces is making paintings. You got composition. You got so many. We don't have time at the end of this talk, but this is one of them. This overworking thing. It has been for me, and so I've got plenty to say about it. One of the reasons why this talk is going a bit long. I got so much to say about this. It's all in the chapter in the book, and that takes a lot less time, by the way. Will take you less time to read, but this you get to see me wave my brush around and gesticulate in my studio environment, and it's entertainment, isn't it? Maybe, and teaching, and we're having coffee. Yeah, it's one of the greatest challenges if you've got that problem. But it's rewarding when you get past it. You're doing loose yet cohesive work, and you're expressing your loose yet cohesive interpretation of the scene. That thing that inspired you when you said, "I think that would make a painting." Right. I mean, you got to carry it through. There's a lot of steps, and I'm going to walk you through all of them. I'm going to do one every week. I'm going to try not to miss a week. If I do, I'll be back though. Okay. Yes, your loose, expressive, honest interpretation will always beat tightness. Okay, the tightness is the enemy, and the last thing I want to say, I'll leave you on this note. If that's your problem, just go ahead and overwork a bunch of paintings. But remember what Uncle Mike said. There is light on the other side of that ridge. So you might need to work your way like I did. I mean, I knew this stuff. I was aware of it, and yet I was overworking hundreds of paintings. So, that overworking I did is why I can speak with authority on this topic. Yeah. The goal is not perfection; it's expressive honesty within a cohesive structure, and that is good. So, how can you support this artist? How can you support this particular way of learning? It's pretty cool that you got a guy just showing up and, maybe I'm not the greatest painter ever, but I've got some credentials. I've got some work. My work speaks for itself, and I'm trying to teach you. I'm showing up all the time. I'm working hard, and you can support that. You can support that by the affiliate link thing, whatever. It's down there. Click on it, do some shopping, and they'll give me 5 cents. Great. But I really like the likes because that keeps the YouTube robot is like, I don't think anyone likes this video. Nobody's clicking like. Well, but people did like it. I did like it. I don't click like. I'm not a liker. I just watch things. I can't blame you. But you know what? When I watch a lot of YouTube, when I like something, even if I'm going to move on from the video, if it hit a chord at one point, I just click like. I don't comment that often, but if I keep going all the way to the end of the video or whatever, I'll try and leave a comment. It's like I just did yesterday. A very wise young lady, I just typed the word wisdom. That was all I said. And I was out. And that helps her get attention for her work. And she worked very hard, this young lady. She had so many young people are doing these wonderful video essays these days, but hers was not just a video essay. It had all this wonderful collage of video and still images, and it was incredible. I only watched 15 minutes of it. Probably like a lot of you only watch 10 minutes of this, but whatever, it's here for you. It's here for everybody, okay? And support me any way you can. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, send me a donation, join the Substack Studio Pass. See you next week for Easel Talk 17. Did you know You could buy the book, landscapepainter.co.nz. The book cost $65 US. Did you